Hi YouTube, so you've bought a new tank, now what do you do with it? Caring for fish isn't about just throwing it all together and assuming that you're going to have great results. But it doesn't have to be expensive or difficult. This video is to give you some tips to hopefully help you lead your tank to success. I'm going to run through a list of suggestions that I think you should get if you're starting off a fish tank. And then after that list, I'll go through them in more detail. So to start off with, substrate. You're going to need something on the bottom of the tank. You don't have to, you could go bare based, but if you're going to put some plants in there, which I really recommend you do, you're going to need a substrate. You can get sand from Mothercare for £3. It's really inexpensive and a perfect size for a small aquarium. Along with that, some rock. I really recommend lava rock. I'll explain why later. And then plant wise, get these from your local fish shop. Don't buy them on eBay. With the plants, get some root tabs to help out with that plant growth. And then finally, some more things about starting the cycle. So household ammonia, I use household ammonia to start that. And a pipette, you're going to need something to measure the dosage in the fish tank. To speed up the cycle, get yourself some beneficial bacteria. I've got Pure Aquarium here. I also suggest another one in the description. A test kit, a water test kit so you can check how your tank cycle's going. And then finally, some dechlorinator, which is really important in taking out harmful chlorine from tap water, especially in the UK. Including the bucket and jug, that comes to £66.50. Now, I'm not going to lie, that's quite a lot in an outright purchase just to start a small tank. And really, the cheapest thing that you could possibly do is purchase some lava rock, put it in a friend's tank, leave it in there for 4 weeks and then pull it out, along with trying to pinch some of their plants and putting it straight into your tank. And to be honest, if you were to do that, your tank would pretty much be ready to go. Even better still, if they've got some spare media, swap that out, use that in your filter to kickstart your aquarium. The rest of this video though assumes that you don't have that luxury and you are literally starting this out from scratch. So the sand substrate, what's the deal there? I use it in all of my tanks and mainly it's because it's cheap. I've had really big aquariums, I've had smaller aquariums, and it's much better value than buying like gravel from a local fish shop. Also, if you get children's play sand, it's a lot cheaper. Plants grow into it absolutely fine, and then you can obviously fertilise the roots using root tabs and promote that growth that way. So it's a good suggestion if you're just starting out. With regards to rocks, be careful which ones you choose. Some of them leach out calcium and other minerals into the water, and some fish are sensitive to those substances. If you go to your local fish shop, I choose lava rock because one, it's really lightweight, so when they weigh it out, actually you get quite a lot of rock for your money. The great thing with lava rock as well is it's really porous. There's lots of holes for that beneficial bacteria to grow, which is going to be perfect to start and help out that cycle. You heard me say earlier about the plants. Get them from your local fish shop. Don't get them from cheap eBay auctions, and there's a reason behind that. A lot of those cheap plants get imported from the Far East, and on their journey here they have to be treated with copper to kill parasites and snails and other organisms living on the plants. That copper is really difficult to get off the plants, and if you don't get it off properly and you put snails or you put shrimp in your aquarium, sadly it's going to kill them because that's the job that it does on its travels here. So definitely pick it up from your local fish shop. You're probably going to get better quality plants, and actually they're not much more expensive. The root tabs are an excellent idea for when you've started up a new fish tank. When you put your plants in, they're going to need some form of nutrients, and you can do that by two ways. Either adding nutrients to the water, there'll already be some in there anyway, or you can add it to the roots. Now I find when starting a new fish tank, if you go straight into the water column with fertilisers, then you're much more likely to have an algae bloom, whereas if you use the root tabs on the roots, then that's more of a controlled dosage to the plants. Now, when you've got a tank that's got low level lighting or a low tech tank and you're not dosing with carbon dioxide, you're much more likely to experience some of these issues when you're first starting out a tank. And to be honest, really experienced aquarists will also have these issues even on a high tech tank. If you want to learn more about that, I'm going to make some new videos on those kind of subjects. So please hit that subscribe button if you'd like to find out some more. You might be asking, what's the ammonia for? A fish tank is all about a balanced colony of bacteria that removes waste from the fish. So as the fish eat, they produce poo, and they don't like to be swimming around in their own waste. So what we're trying to do is cycle the fish tank to produce this colony of bacteria to allow that cycle. That's the nitrogen cycle of how the fish waste is converted into harmless substances such as nitrogen, which are bubbled off in the fish tank. Beneficial bacteria is a really good idea to start the cycle of your tank. I'm recommending water life, bacteria life here, and the reason behind that is because it contains both autotrophic and heterotrophic bacteria types. Now, realistically, it's the autotrophic bacteria types that are really good stuff, and it's one of the only ones on the market that says that it includes it. Normal products that are cultured bacteria growths are heterotrophic, and they're not quite as good for starting that cycle. That's the theory anyway. You can see I've listed 2 test kits. One's the API Master test kit. Now this is like the Rolls Royce of test kits. And the other option that you can get that's slightly cheaper are the test strips. Now really I'm recommending that you go with the API Master test kit. See if you can get it on offer. It is quite expensive. The reason being, lots of people have had false readings from the test strips, and that can be really disappointing or confusing when you're starting your fish tank. Now, the API Master test kits are accurate, they're easy to use, they're well explained, so that's why I'd recommend them here. Okay, so you've been to the shops, you've got your fish tank, you've got all of these products, now what are you going to do? I always start by washing the sand. The sand needs good rinsing out. If you do this a few times, I pour on loads of tap water to get off all of the dirt and grime and the dust from it. And the clearer you get it at this stage, the better it's going to be when you pour the water into your fish tank. I then boil the rocks. You don't have to do this, but what the boiling does is it gets rid of any microorganisms or algae and other growths on the rocks to make sure that they're pristine before they go into your aquarium. I also let them sit for a little while. I left them for 24 hours just in some water to let them settle down and let the chlorine help out if there's any other organisms in the rocks. The other benefit of this is, if you've got any wood, it's going to remove some of the tannins from the wood, so if you don't like that tea effect in your aquarium, it will get rid of that too. Once you've prepped all this stuff, it's just a case of putting it all together. So I first of all put a towel in the bottom of my aquarium, place all the rocks, work out where I want to put them so I don't make a massive mess everywhere, and then when I'm ready with that, take loads of photos of it. Because the worst thing is you get a perfect placement of the rocks and you can't remember how you organised it. Once I've done that, I put the sand in the bottom, do all the hardscape, put in any wood that I want, and then actually for this left the aquarium for a couple of days. I just left it running with the heater on, the pump running, just to make sure that all the equipment's okay. The worst thing that you can do is put all your lovely plants in and the heater or the filter packs up or even the light, and then you're kind of left with plants just sitting in an aquarium unfiltered or with no lighting until you get it fixed. Or if you've got to send it back, that's even worse, you've got to take everything apart. So I leave mine to settle for a little while. Once I've done that, it's ready for the plants. I rinse my plants. Bear in mind, when you're rinsing plants under chlorinated water, normal tap water, it's going to kill off most of the bacteria that's on there, but it does also remove things like snail's eggs, which can be a big problem when you first start out when you first start your aquarium, but at least then you've got like a real clean basis to go forward with. You've got to remember though, with this, you've now got an incredibly sterile aquarium, and that's why I suggested earlier about having the beneficial bacteria to start the cycle going. A tip: when you're filling the aquarium up with water, I put a bag in the bottom so when I'm pouring in the water it doesn't displace all the sand, keeps the sand nice and calm and level on the bottom, and then you don't get that kind of dusty effect when you first start the aquarium. Later on, as your cycle's forming and the bacteria is forming, you're likely going to get some kind of cloudiness, but that's not going to be from the sun, that's actually going to be from bacteria colonies in the water. I add ammonia at this stage over the course of the next couple of weeks, and then I do water changes every 4 or so days depending on the nitrite level. Now when you first add the ammonia, you'll find that when you're testing it, your nitrite is likely going to go up, but your ammonia will be going down each day, hopefully, if the aquarium colonies, the bacteria colonies, doing the trick. But the nitrite one will probably stay high for a while. The reason this is because the bacteria that works on nitrite, that uses that as energy, actually multiplies slower than the one that processes ammonia, and it's more difficult to colonise. So what you might need to do is just see if you're overreaching above, for instance, 6 parts per million. You don't want to go anywhere above that, because it will start actually affecting the bacteria that's in the tank and potentially killing it off. So that's why I do the water changes, to bring the nitrite level back down. I also judge how much ammonia I need to go in, but there's a calculator too in the description that you can use to help out with that. Once over 24 hours you get to a period where you have 0 ammonia and 0 nitrite in the tank, it's then ready to safely receive fish. When you stock in this, go really slowly though, because there's other parts and other substances that haven't quite developed yet, and other types of bacteria in the tank that haven't actually been working on decomposing things. They've purely been working on ammonia. So you still want to start off very slowly when you're stocking a new fish tank. That leads me on to a kind of topic that I'm going to discuss on another video, which is just around the whole using ammonia and the sterileness of cycling a fish tank and how that actually works. Doing this experiment and doing this startup of a brand new tank has led me into reading loads more articles about bacteria, their growth, how fast they grow, the different types, and actually it's led me to a theory behind how the ammonia method isn't necessarily the best method for starting an aquarium, and actually there's probably other things that you could do to also help out. The key thing around starting a new tank is a thing called new tank syndrome, and your ammonia and nitrite might be at 0 and you might have very low nitrate levels. However, you might still have, sadly, fish that pass away, and it was something that affected me when I first started out a fish tank. And I think that stems to these other types of bacteria that are produced by decomposing matter, and that's something that I want to talk about in another video. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe. I hope this video is useful to you and gets you going into that journey of starting an aquarium. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.